First look here for the NFL. Rody and I will have a video out tomorrow or Friday morning. He likes to post them Friday morning, but we want to, obviously things change between now and then. But this is going to be our first look, and we just did a long NBA video, so we're ready to go through another one because this is they stopped with the 10 game sheets. They put all 13 back on Sunday, so it's another giant slate we got to deal with here.
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's get into it. Why don't we pull your screen up and we'll go game by game and see what we like to do. I really like the game by game as a first look. I really like doing. If I'm going to do position by position, I want that to be the last look. I really like doing this early in the week. It really helps me.
Yeah, and as I mentioned with the NBA, what I'm going to be doing is separate from these. Remember, we have different ways of consuming content. I know Bobby's going to do like a full position by position breakdown with Rody at some point this week. And I separately am going to do just a pure like Saber Sim / contest sim build, lesson using this slate as an example for different types of viewers. So you'll be able to get something of everything. So let's start with the the overall game view like we like to do at this time of the week.
Yeah, there's a few games worth targeting. I'll figure them out more as we go because there's a lot. It's a lot of those. Do we want to run skinny stacks? There's some stacks I like without a run back, so I'm still sort of deciding what I want to do. I like, again, I'm going to like a lot of the afternoon stuff again, but we'll see. We'll go game by game. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
You got Houston and Carolina first, boy.
I do.
We are in lockstep. It's a first time.
Wow, we're killing it already.
We're killing it already. That's right. The projections I'm looking at are very messed up.
Okay.
Because Damian Pierce and it's early in the week for Saber Sim, so don't hold this against Saber Sim. I've got Damian Pierce projected to score 25 fantasy points as a median. That's like not even possible that could ever be a median score for Damian Pierce or basically anyone not named McCaffrey or Cup.
Be careful with the early.
The early projections.
Early Saber Sim projections specifically. Yeah, I'm getting almost. I mean, I'm not getting much of Pierce at all in my.
Right, and I'm just saying this is the early look. That's why the first thing I was looking at was kind of jarring almost. But in terms of this game, like it's a game. You have the two. The number 1 and number 3 overall pick in the draft this year, and there's a big gap between them right now. In terms of plays, I don't know what to do here. Carolina, I don't believe their defense is as bad as it thinks. I do like Pierce a little bit at his price. I don't think I really want to do a whole lot else without the exception of maybe the Texans defense. Thielen's price has gone up, maybe Mingo as a cheapo, but nothing that really stands out in a major way to me. How about you?
Yeah, it would seem as though, Houston would be a team you might want to try. I think people were playing some CJ Stroud in the past recently, but I don't know. I think this game is probably kind of an avoid for me.
Kind of a what?
An avoid.
An avoid. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a great one. It's a very high total for Houston, and they've got a lot of pieces. So I kind of wanted to do something, but don't really know how to attack it. Maybe that is the answer. Is maybe play some Pierce and maybe. Spread out some of these receivers that have been really good values. Collins, Woods, Dalton Schultz out of the game finally. Maybe there's something to the Houston side of this, but I just am not there yet, personally. All right. What do we have next here for you, Sheets?
Next could be a pretty good game. Rams at Cowboys.
All right. Why don't you start this one off because I was a little off on the timing.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, so I think that this whole game makes a lot of sense. I mean, I would play probably both sides of it with respect to the with respect to stacking or anything like that. We still have to figure out what's going to happen with the running backs here on the Rams. But Cooper Kupp again, even though it's expensive, $9K. I'd even play Puka, Dallas side. The normal dudes, honestly, like Brandon Cooks at 46 is pretty cheap. Michael Gallup remains like dirt cheap at 3,400. I think even Lamb is somewhat reasonable. So I think right off the bat, I think this. I don't know what the total is in this game, but you would think that this game makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, So yeah, I'm definitely open to it. It's not like you don't get the turf boost advantage for the Rams because they're whatever. It's a low total, very low total. The Rams have only projected
Really?
17 is pretty low. Cooper Kupp still being projected for a team projected with 19 points to be like 30% owned or whatever the hell it's going to be. Seems weird, but I think the Kupp or Nakua every week is just a strong play. I don't really care who they're playing. They have just too many routes. Higbee would be the sneaky one for me. And on the other side, I think it's really just Pollard and Lamb that I have interest in. And for what level of interest? I think pretty decent. And I think that in terms of Lamb, a little further behind, but definitely something I'm considering. So not a priority for me, but I do think Kupp or Nakua, Lamb or the running back Pollard, but for me, not a game I'm looking to target exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting. Just to give an idea though, like if we just use it, and they've been pretty good, at least especially in relation to NBA, but like for the SaberSim projection for this game is the Rams actually they have the Rams at 25.3 and Dallas at 24.6. And it's like totally the opposite of, it's the actual spread is 6.5. So if you believe in the SaberSim running the Sims, like maybe take a little bit of some shots on the Rams here. I think that's a pretty good bet, actually. I think I'm probably gonna consider that. All right, Minnesota Green Bay.
Yeah, I have Minnesota Green Bay. I'm running into issues with I'm not getting it's my own fault. I'll deal with this later. I'm missing some teams in my stuff.
Okay.
But I guess I'll just wing it.
Yeah. I can
okay, so Minnesota's coming off of that really, really big win. CJ Watson seems to be questionable. I don't know what that's all about. Jefferson's. Oh, okay. So here's the thing. So Jordan Addison really, really showed out on Monday Night Football. So I imagine that people are going to go back to him. But I'll tell you, they didn't really price up the other guy too much, the Brandon Powell, and he got some targets, especially when they needed him, like later in the game. So I think him at 3,200 is probably going to be somewhat cheap, but the main guys are going to be Addison and Hawkinson. I don't like playing the running backs from here. Although Madison actually was better than I thought he was going to be. I don't know. I think those Minnesota receivers still seem pretty cheap relative to the fact that Jefferson's going to be out. So I think those guys are okay. I'm not really getting too much from the Green Bay side. You getting that?
Yeah. So I think this game is stackable. I think that the early projections don't love Addison, and I have no idea why. So I like Jordan Addison right off the bat as one of the top, for me, one of the top plays in the slate if this ownership and this projection is similar. I like Christian Watson if he plays. If he doesn't play, I will go right back to Jaden Reed or Romeo Doubs. So that's sort of the way I'm looking at it. I was probably a little early with my Aaron Jones call last week, and maybe this is the week where I'm right on time. So he's kind of interesting to me, and so is Madison. So I have this game as a stackable with the priority for non-stacks being Addison and TJ Hawkinson. I think both those guys are strong plays, and I think that if Musgrave plays, he's in as well. So all of those guys make a lot of sense to me. All right, Musgrave, Hawkinson. Let me just do this. All right. Do you want to start off the next one? Sorry.
Yeah, that was a crazy game last week. That Indianapolis Cleveland game. That was just
wild.
That was like legit wild.
And the weirdest part is Cleveland's defense was their best offensive weapon. They score a touchdown, they're forcing turnovers left and right, but they're also giving up 1 million points. It was a crazy all over the place game.
Right. But I'll tell you what I did notice, and we talked about this as being a possibility, that I saw Jonathan Taylor with the ball. And if that's going to be the drill, and it's going to be really back to Jonathan Taylor, 6,200 is just way too cheap. Again, I haven't even looked at the projection yet on him, but it would seem as though, how could this not be a good play? I don't know. So that's where I'm starting with is Jonathan Taylor on the Indianapolis side. New Orleans, I don't know. Olave 6,400, Shaheed 3,900. I don't think I'll play Kamara at 72. I don't know. You like Jonathan Taylor? You like the Indianapolis offense at all here?
Yeah, keep in mind, Chris Olave got arrested the other day, which could change the outlook of this game quite a bit. Because then you have Rashid Shaheed and Michael Thomas become tremendous plays, and potentially even a Keith Kirkwood long shot at 3K might be a little interesting. Also, it goes more towards the Kamara thing. So it's kind of hard to figure this one out right now, but that could open up some serious value to use as either a secondary or main stack. Look, I've watched the Colts play enough times this year, and look, sometimes they do slow it down and whatnot. I just feel like they're screaming shootout every time, especially at home. Like, it just feels like there's going to be stuff done, and there's guys who I just think are still too cheap. Josh Downs was, it was a must-have to win a GPP last week, and he's 4,800. I love that Josh Downs play. I like the Taylor play, as you mentioned. I think that Michael Thomas and Shaheed Irvin play without Olave even missing, and we don't know about that one yet. Kamara, I think, is a very strong play. So I have this game as a stack, but not necessarily using the quarterbacks. If I had to pick one of them, it definitely would be Minshew. But I think there's a lot you could do in this game. I think there's a lot of pieces, but it's really going to come down to Olave.
So what was he arrested for? Do I care?
I think it was a DUI. Or maybe it was battery. I can't remember, honestly. I just saw it briefly when there was a lot of other sports going on, so I have to double check what that is about. So I'm into the Kamara, Taylor, Downs. I'll get some Pittman in there, although Pittman will be less used because he will match up mostly with one of the best corners in the NFL. So I think that this is feels like a good Downs week, and if I get really frisky, I might even throw some Alec Pierce. I kind of like this game. I just don't really love I like pieces. Like, I can see myself making I'll play Kamara with Downs, or I'll play Taylor with Thomas or Shaheed on the other side. I just think all of that's pretty interesting to me. And I do think the Saints have a decent defense, although it hasn't, it's been sort of up and down. I don't believe in the Colts defense at all. So that also helps me, that helps the game shoot out. I love the over in this game, though, for what it's worth.
I will tell you something. This, I spoke to Andy from Sabersham the other day. I was asking him some things about the industry, and this is a little bit weird. Sabersham is not the only place that has Damian Pierce at 25 fantasy points. There's another place, and I don't know.
How can 25 be a realistic number for a guy?
It's not. That's the thing. So what happens is, there are these sites, and now I don't even want to tell you the name. It's called Top Line or something like that. They release sort of industry wide, sort of projections, sort of not industry wide. They have their own projections that you can pipe in an API call or something. And before a site has really run their sims or run their stuff, they might default to that type of thing. So because I'm seeing two different sites that are putting up these same kind of bogus Damian Pierce projections, so they're probably getting these from a weird place. So what this is saying is that early week projections you should probably just ignore. Honestly, and as the week goes on, they get a lot tighter. But no, Damian Pierce, there's no Damian Pierce 25 median projection in the actual statistical world.
Yeah, I mean the guy's career high is 18. But this is the best matchup, and he's in the best spot in football. So I was going to talk about him, and I look at the projection. I'm like, I can't play a guy who's going to be 75% on who never has done this before. But right. It's a fake projection, as you're pointing out. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. New England, Miami. This is an interesting one. Okay, I guess I'll go and just say that I think that, as always, Miami, you have to have Miami stacks if you're playing on full slates. Their ceiling is just much higher than everybody else's are. I don't care that New England got a win last week. This is a terrible defense. I think that the Dolphins are being underprojected. The only thing is there might be some rain and wind in South Florida, so just keep an eye out. But if you can find a way to do it, same rule as always for me, play these guys and play them heavily at the Dolphin side. In your run back, they're definitely looking for Kendrick Bourne these days. He's in his last two games, 16 receptions and a couple touchdowns. Oh, no, only one touchdown in the last two games, but still 16 receptions in the last two games. I think he's your natural run back. I think if you wanted to play Ramondre Stevenson, you could do that. But I have this as a very high level game stack for me. And even if not, I'll include Mostert. I'll probably, to be honest, by the end of the week, have a little bit of Jeff Wilson because I just am going to overplay Miami, especially they came off a tough loss to a good Eagles defense. this Patriots defense is not going to be able to contain them, in my opinion. And I am going to be heavy on the Dolphins, which means I want the run backs up from the other side.
Yeah, I think Miami's going to run them out of the gym. New England put up a kind of almost like a career win for freaking Belichick. It's 300th win at home against Buffalo in an ugly game. You know what I mean? Just I mean, listen, much respect, much props. And even after Buffalo played like one of the worst games of the season, they almost lost anyway, New England. But coming off of that, going down to Miami. Miami coming off their loss. I mean, it's going to be a train wreck for New England.
Yeah.
And okay, you want to be cutesy. You say, okay, so Belichick will try to take away Tyreek Hill. Just go play all the Jalen Waddle. Sure, makes sense. But you should probably play Tyreek Hill also.
Yeah.
But no, the truth. Good luck trying to stop him. Honestly, that's like faster than everybody else, and that's just almost the bottom line sometimes. But I do like both those receivers. Cedric Wilson got some kind of like junk play run sort of in the last game. On a 100-game slate, I'm not doing that. Raheem Mostert, go right back to him. And like you said, I mean, I was suspicious of the Kendrick Bourne stuff going into last week, and it is what it is, man. That he's the guy there now. So you could probably play him once again as kind of a run back against kind of Miami onslaughts. But I also, by the way, think Miami defense. I don't know what their price is, but I think that's going to make a lot of sense. The
only thing I want to throw out, probably why I like this game, is their defense has really not been great. To be honest. That's sort of
that's fine, but if New England's down by 2-3 touchdowns, I mean,
right. They're just really expensive, but I hear you.
Yeah, they are. Not as expensive as the New York Football Jets is a 4K against the Giants. Look at this. You got Giants and Jets, $7,500 defense between the two of them in this matchup. Yeah,
it's pretty wild. Definitely interesting. The Jets, What do you think of this game? You're a New York guy.
I like both running backs. I like Breece Hall.
Yeah.
And I like Saquon Barkley. I mean, Saquon Barkley, 20 touches, two days, 2 weeks in a row. Again, the Jets are no joke. It's not so easy, but I don't know. I mean, I thought I might be in for a real good one. He was very, very low owned, and he scored a touchdown, I think, in the first half. I thought he was on the way to something. Then he got hurt a little bit, like a little bit banged up. Man, these guys just can't stay healthy. It's just so hard.
Yeah.
But listen. I don't think this is obvious. This is a big game to target. But you have the Giants who still like to blitz a lot, and if that's the case, then guys like Garrett Wilson from the Jets can, break stuff off. That's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I want to play any. Well, I was about to say I don't want to play any more Giants, but all these receivers are still free. And between Wan'Dale Robinson, Wan'Dale Robinson is the most expensive receiver on the team, and he's $3,700.
I know the problem is.
I mean, besides Darren Waller, I don't know. 13-game slates. What's the total here? 30?
36.5.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a tough game to get to, but as one-offs, I mean, probably do worse than playing the receivers in this game.
Yep. I just like Breece Hall. I think that playing roulette with one of the Giants receivers, if I had to pick, it would just have to be Jalen Hyatt. They're looking his way more. He's a rookie. We can, I think, sort of take something from that a guy who's starting to get, look, it may not be that many targets, but you're getting the most targets of any receiver on your team. And honestly, I would rather play Jalen Hyatt if Daniel Jones is not the quarterback. Tyrod Taylor doesn't even run as much as Daniel Jones and is, I think, actually a better passer at this moment, which is weird to say. And congrats to Tyrod Taylor. They're becoming, I think it's the last franchise to have a black starting quarterback win a game for them. So congrats to Tyrod Taylor.
Pretty pathetic, if you want to know the truth.
Pretty pathetic on their part. I mean, it's kind of crazy this long. Maybe that's the problem. Stop trying to find, whatever. We can move on. All right.
Probably a good idea.
Probably move on before I say something that's actually
probably a good idea. That's it.
It probably just would have sounded a little bit off. All right, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh. I'll go real quick on this thing because I don't think I want to do anything with the exception of maybe all of the receivers are like on my maybe list. Pickens, Deontay Johnson. I think it's probably just a stay away game for me.
This could go. I want to say disagree, but I really think this could go. I really think this can go two ways. I really think this could be 20-10 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that this can go a little bit ballistic. And if it does, then I'm going to have these Pickenses and these Deontay Johnsons and all these Jacksonville dudes. Listen, Pittsburgh's defense is rough. But I don't know. I just have I watch these Jacksonville games, and every once in a while, I just feel these games are going to go off. So maybe low ownership, I would imagine. I think that this could be sort of a sneaky game stack.
I'm always looking for Jacksonville, and I keep saying my issue with them is I think their defense is a little bit too good.
Yes, I know.
We get into shootouts, and it's hard for me to see the Steelers doing a whole bunch with that defense. So
yeah.
And also, you have maybe the worst weather on the slate, at least early on. It looks like.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So I probably that's sort of why I'm staying away. But look, I'm not going to argue. The prices on Ridley, Kirk, Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris are all completely fair. I just am having a hard time getting to this game personally, and especially with it being in Pittsburgh. Pretty wild that Pittsburgh is 4-2, and like they've looked like one of the worst teams offensively in football. It's pretty amazing. All right, what do you got next?
Yeah, so I was one of them. There are a lot of people that are whining about this, but I was one of them. Not whining, but I had like 3 or 4 like pretty perfect lineups last week, with the exception of Bijan Robinson in the running back position.
Yeah,
that was a tough scene over there. They're still trying to get to the bottom of what happened. They said he was sort of sick, but then
what's happening with this game here? This is
Atlanta, Tennessee.
Why does the time say 10:30, 1:30 on your? Look at your.
No, mine says 1 o'clock.
No, I'm sorry, I'm misreading it. I'm sorry, I was totally confused.
I don't know.
I was like,
but that was a weird thing. What happened with Bijan Robinson last week? He got no touches, but he wasn't like declared inactive. And they said like midway through the third quarter and they were saying, well, they said he has an illness or something like that. So they brought him in for like a couple of plays, but like didn't include him in the play, sort of. And then like in like the fourth quarter, the last play before they brought him in just to literally line up the field goal attempt. Like they brought him in for one running play, and they've been grilling Arthur Smith about this all week, about the NFL has about violating the injury rules and releasing and stuff like that. And he's been pretty evasive about what was going on over there. I don't know if they ever got to the bottom of it, but it was really, really strange. So nonetheless, I imagine this is going to be probably a pretty low total game. I don't even know who exactly is going to quarterback for Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean Will Levis.
Either Will Levis or whatever. So if you want a shot at Derrick Henry, maybe. I don't know. But Atlanta, if you're into the idea that Tennessee likes to funnel everything to the pass, Atlanta has proven that they'll go for this. Recently, Arthur Smith, he likes to run this ball, but I've been seeing Kyle Pitts get some more action. I've been seeing Drake London get some more action. By the way, I don't know if you noticed it. Not that he's on Atlanta anymore. Did you see who was on the field the other day for the Eagles? Yeah, how crazy, huh?
Yeah, I love it.
And it was awesome. They gave him like a 3-yard pass, and he got a standing ovation for like 5 minutes. It was awesome.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yep. So anyway, I don't know what's gonna happen with Bijan. Dude, who's got all the touches with freaking Cordell Patterson. When Bijan Robinson was out, I'm like, wait, Cordell Patterson's getting what is going on here? I will say this: if in fact Bijan Robinson is somehow out, I will totally play Cordell Patterson. I 100% will play Cordell Patterson. But I do expect, whatever. I imagine that Bijan Robinson is going to play. I mean, illness, they're trying to make it look good. I don't know what that is. They were speculating, by the way, Bobby, that there was some punishment or something like the first half.
I actually think that makes the most sense because they ran all those plays near the goal line. And even you look at I was frustrated because I played the Ritter stacks and Ritter fumbled 2 times at the 1 yard line. And one of them on an end zone where he actually reached in for the touchdown and they called the touchdown and everything. And literally, it felt like 2 minutes later it went by. They were looking at it. And you didn't even realize the guy just touched it out just before. So they get the ball back at the 20, which I still think is the craziest rule. So that was my tilt of last week. My issue with this game is you have what seems like a terrible spot, like a terrible game and just all this stuff. And it's 35 and a half total. But Atlanta is so cheap. And you have a pass funnel defense with Ritter who can run, Drake London at 5,100 and Kyle Pitts at 3,800. I could stack this game and just stack any other things I want and just sort of forget that. On top of it, I'll tell you who I am going to play this week regardless. I don't care that it's a pass funnel defense. First of all, Bijan Robinson is going to make you his money by lining up on the outside a lot this year, and it's going to be a lot through pass receiving. So I'm not even treating him like a normal running back because he will line up as a wide receiver on 25, 30, maybe even higher percent of the plays. So I like Robinson. I like London. I like Pitts. And I think that you could play Ritter as a quarterback. I don't really love any run backs. DeAndre Hopkins is super cheap. That's interesting.
Yeah, he is.
But maybe the thing to do would be to suck it up and play some Derrick Henry and take that shot. But I don't. It feels weird to stack a 35.5 point game, but I just think Atlanta is too cheap. So I'm gonna play the Drake Londons and the Kyle Pitts and the Bijan Robinsons. That's where I'm at right now. And that's just the way that it is. It's just the pricing thing. It is a pass funnel defense though. If you get it right, you could find that one guy to run it back with, or maybe you just don't run it back. But you could get a big number out of London, Ritter, and Pitts if they just can't run the ball. Especially like you said, if Robinson's out or whatever, maybe even instead of the Cordell Patterson or Algier, maybe you play Ritter with the passing game. And it's kind of interesting. All right, Philadelphia, Washington Sheets.
Well, last time these guys played, it was right down to the end. And it was 30. It was at Philly, and it was 34-31. Right, so I guess this is going to be an under. I guess everybody's going to make their adjustments and play the under. So I don't think I'm going to go back. I don't think I'm going to play the Washington side of this. It seems to be the side. It seems to be something I like to do. It's like play Washington. I think that Philly, I don't know. I just think their defense is going to be better in this game. That's the best way I can describe this. I think that Philly, on the Philly side, maybe you could go back to maybe DeAndre Swift, something like that. Hurts is always – the thing about Hurts, he's just going to score a touchdown every game running the ball. It's almost like they go down on the 1 yard line on purpose so they can do the play and get him into the end zone. I don't know. It seems as though I want to. Oh boy. These are my biases getting involved. That's why I like to run my optimals here and just see what I get, because otherwise I'm just going to say, you know what, screw this game. It's going to be an under and just avoid it. So I don't know. What do you like here?
No problem with an Eagles stack with McLaurin. Look, we've seen how great A.J. Brown is and what they're doing with him, and also Devontae Smith is a little too nice of a guy to start complaining about not getting the ball when your team is undefeated. But if there's a time to go back to Devontae Smith, he's $1,300 cheaper. I know it's an early projection, but I think it's probably going to be close to accurate. You've got 5 times the ownership on Brown that you do Devontae Smith. Maybe you can make a stack with Hurts to one of those guys or both. I kind of like everybody on Philadelphia, as always. I like DeAndre Swift at running back. I like Smith and Brown as receivers. I like Goddard as a tight end. And I always like the Philly offense, and this is no different. And I think if you wanted to play the game stack and you wanted to run it back, I think you have a couple good options. I think Terry McLaurin's completely reasonable. And I think Curtis Samuel actually in this kind of a game could be a very solid play. Dotson, I don't know what's been up with him, but I'm just not going there anymore, at least for now. But I like the idea of maybe Samuel or McLaurin on the other side of an Eagle stack. So I do have this as one of the games that I'm looking to potentially. does worry me that the Eagles control it a little bit, though. I do feel like it's revenge time. All right, what do we have next?
Next we have Jerome Ford doubtful, with Kareem Hunt at 5,200. That's the next thing that we have. So I imagine. Why am I not getting any of him? I don't know. Again, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how he's projecting or whatever it is. But if Jerome Ford is actually out and it's Kareem Hunt's backfield, sounds good to me. I don't know what to tell you. The Seattle side of this, I just am not particularly inclined to play much offense against these Cleveland people. Even though, listen, they gave up all these points, okay, against Indianapolis. I still, nonetheless, they were in everybody's face. They were blocking kicks. They were sacking people. This Myles Garrett's a freaking wrecking machine. I don't. And one thing about Cleveland is that their defense is pretty much their whole team. So that's where all their pride lies. They gave up 1 million points last week. They're going to be freaking fired up to play better this week. So I don't know if I can do much Seattle now. The thing is that we got to see what's going on with Metcalf, though. So if Metcalf is out, you might get these cheapos now. So hold on. So you might get J. Smith and Najikwa, whatever, at 4,300, which kind of makes that would actually sort of almost be a tough fade. You know, if it was just Lockett and JSN as the top wide receivers over there. Overall, I think Cleveland games are just last week notwithstanding, not the types of games you want to make as priorities. Except, and even like Kenneth Walker. Like if Kenneth Walker, he'll probably always show up as a decent play. But again, why do I want to do that against this team? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to show up as a decent play this week. Maybe he will. I don't understand it why his numbers are the way that they are, but I'm not buying it. I do think that even with all this stuff, like look, I don't care what the Kareem Hunt is. If we officially have no Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt is going to be in a good chunk of my lineups. A lot of running back spots I like, but just be aware that they might give Pierre Strong some of the carries. Like it's not like going to be just 100% Kareem Hunt. Just warning. I think the pricing on Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore for the matchup are excellent. So I like both of them. I think on the Seattle side, I think Metcalf is unlikely to play right now. And Tyler Lockett or Smith and Jigba are hard to ignore because of that. But at the same time, you can't ask for a worse matchup. So I'm just a little stuck on it, but I'm not stacking the game, but I will play some more exposure, some Elijah Moore, some Amari Cooper, some of the, obviously a good amount of Kareem Hunt. And I think your natural run back is playing one of JSN or Tyler Lockett. If you wanted to get really creative, because I think those guys will be owned even against a tough defense, I think that the guy who you could get creative with is Jake Bobo. They looked for him a bunch last week, and he had a couple targets in the end zone. So he would be the creative play from Seattle, but I wouldn't want to be overly invested in this game. It's just the pricing is kind of forcing me into it a little bit. All right, I'll go quickly with the Denver.
I have Baltimore, Arizona next. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Start that one off then, Sheets.
Yeah, I'll go back to the Baltimore people. Go back to Lamar, back to Zay Flowers, back to Andrews. It's good to me. And then if you want to stack this game on the other side, you can try again the Marquise Brown. Sort of revenge, I guess. And then I don't know how Michael Wilson did last week. There were another 5 targets. Okay, not the worst in the world at 3,600. It was probably going to be a good game script. So yeah, I think I'll go right back to the Baltimore side here.
Yeah, this might be my favorite game. Lamar, Marquise Brown on the other side, Zay Flowers on this side. Include Mark Andrews in your builds. I'm kind of in on. I'm a little late, but maybe this is the Lamar turning into the. I did have him as my MVP guy at the start of the season. So Lamar, I really think this is we're starting to see it after last week. So I'm in on all of it. You're really just playing roulette if you try to guess between Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. Gus Edwards had the big 80-yard catch in addition to the 2 touchdowns last week, so the numbers kind of got skewed, but. I don't think he's any better of a play than Justice Hill, so I'm probably going to stick with Lamar passing, Lamar hammer stack, Lamar to Flowers, and and Andrews, and then Moore as Brown as the run back. And then you can consider Rondale Moore or Michael Wilson, and Trey McBride, who I think is now clearly he's the guy now. So Trey McBride is a cheap tight end. I think this is a really, really good game to target, and you just got to hope that Arizona stays close. And the way they do that is probably Hollywood Brown and maybe some sort of funky special teams thing or something, because I'm having trouble seeing how they do it. This could be a spot where I play like the Lamar stack and I use the Arizona defense on the other side, hope that they get like a strip fumble or for a touchdown or something like that, because they are 2,100. So anyway, it's a little bit tricky, but I think that this is a really great game to stack. I just wish I liked a little more on the Arizona side.
All right, so I'm going to call this next game the way I see it. Kansas City against Denver. So I ran one build with one set of projections like early this morning. Then I ran another one with like a different set of projections a little bit later this morning. Then I ran one just before we went on the air with a different set. And then I just for the hell of it, ran one while we were just talking. And in all different methods of me running it, Denver is my highest owned stack on the board. Don't know what to tell you, but that's where I'm getting like a whole bunch of Jerry Jeudy and Russell Wilson and obviously there's Kansas. Kansas City is going to score, right? So that's the idea. Is that Denver's just going to be forced to be, because their defense is so terrible, that Denver's going to be forced to pass the ball and hopefully generate a lot of fantasy points. So that's what I'm getting right now. I'm just kind of hoping that changes, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I think this is the second most appealing game for me. I like both sides of it. Look, if you're playing the Denver side, you can run it back with Pacheco and Kelsey. If you're playing the KC Mahomes side, I think you could take a shot with the receivers. I'm sort of leaning away from Kadarius Toney as my cheap guy to target, and maybe looking a little bit more at Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I know he hasn't run as many routes, but I've seen in a lot of spots where they've sort of needed to get things going. He's picked up a lot of big first downs for them. They looked his way. He obviously had a big playoff run for them last year. I think that there's an MVS situation where he might be my favorite of those guys. But yeah, the price on Jeudy and Sutton is hard to ignore. I still think it's bizarre that every week Jeudy is projected to score more than Sutton. I don't think he's done it this season.
Right.
But I think Sutton is the better. I'd rather have Sutton as a receiver. But maybe we keep it simpler, Sheets, and we realize now that Rashee Rice really does seem to be the main one of those receivers. Instead of trying to find the super cheap guy, maybe it would be a week where you could play your wide receiving core could literally be Rashee Rice, Cortland Sutton, and Jerry Jeudy, and then decide what you want to do with the quarterback in the Kelsey situation. You know what I mean?
I think it's probably the right idea.
I think it's a good idea, and I think it's a great game to target. So I'm high on this one. This is my number 2 behind Baltimore, Arizona, and actually it was number 2 because I thought Baltimore, Arizona was going to be significantly lower owned, and it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So maybe this one jumps up the board for me a little bit.
I'll tell you this: I think you can play Kelsey pretty easily, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too.
Especially if Dameon Pierce is actually a good play. That certainly helps.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor is only 6,200. You want to play him? I mean, I don't know.
Yep.
Or Kareem Hunt, excuse me.
Yeah, there's a lot of cheap Breece Hall. There's a lot of cheap running back.
Yeah,
I agree with you. All right, so the last one is
Cincinnati, San Francisco.
All right, so why don't you start it off so I can just do my little wrap up thing?
Yeah, I mean, if Deebo Samuel's remaining out, I think we're going to see very similar to what we saw last week. Just Ayuk, McCaffrey, Jennings, and Kittle. And Ayuk is, not. I don't think he's expensive enough. Now, forget about the performance last game. I'll tell you, else is not expensive enough. It's freaking Juwan Jennings. they didn't move him up at all, and then Kittle I don't think is expensive enough either at 5,400. Look, McCaffrey's going to get his touchdown because that's kind of like the law right now. He's going to. I guess he's forced to get one. He wasn't forced to get the second one. The guy's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I think you just go right back to those same receivers that you went to on Monday Night Showdown. And then on the Cincinnati side, I mean, what do you got? Is he still under 8K? Close enough. I mean, he's 8,100 for Chase. Certainly makes a lot of sense. You're Tyler Boyd. I know you like to play him. Why not? I think this game's going to deliver. I think it's I don't know which quarterback to play. Maybe neither of them. Just play the skill receivers on both sides of this.
It's so funny because I kind of agree with you. The only problem is like it's just like I actually think that San Francisco is a really good defense, but Cincinnati I actually don't think is as bad as people think. And you have such cheap. I mean, like, these quarterbacks cost nothing. Like Joe Burrow at $6K would have just been like, oh, you know what? We'll just put us against the best defense in football. We'll still find a way.
Yeah.
But I like the chase idea. I like the chase. You know, if you want to do the non-Kelsey thing, maybe you play Chase with McCaffrey or Chase with Ayuk. But the guys who are going to stand out for me, and they're going to be under projected again. I mean, people didn't. If you were watching that game, Juwan Jennings had plenty of looks. Like, and he ended up with. I had a Jennings in the captain. It looked like it needed a touchdown catch from Jennings on that last drive, and it would have probably won the whole thing because it was. He was getting targeted plenty, and he had 10 plus fantasy points. It's 3,800. I don't mind taking a shot there. That's mainly what I'd want to do here. I don't think I want to run Joe Mixon into the San Francisco defense, but Madison looked pretty good. You can always take the shot on Kittle. It's really just depends on, what they're feeling like that day, if it's a Kittle day or not. But without a low-owned Kittle, if there is no Debo, might be the sneaky play to go after here in this game because everybody else is going to, even the Ayuk's going to have ownership and the Chase is going to have ownership. Jennings and Kittle might be the two guys you can get away with as cheapos. So for me, this is below the other games. I have two super standouts, which are Denver, KC, Baltimore, Arizona. A little nervous about the Denver, KC, that maybe KC's defense is better than people think. As good as people. They've been really good. Miami and New England, I think it's more the Miami side, but I just like that idea of stacking that situation. And then the fringier ones are San Francisco, Cincinnati, probably not including the quarterbacks like you mentioned. Philadelphia, Washington, I would play Jalen Hurts in those. It would be mostly a Philly side. Minnesota, Green Bay, a little further back for me than the other ones. And New Orleans, Indianapolis, also a little further back. So priorities, Denver, KC, Baltimore, Arizona. Everybody else I'm still deciding on as of right now.
I'll tell you, if it turns out that Kareem Hunt and has it all to himself, which he probably should. I mean, you play two of the three: Kareem Hunt, Breece Hall, Dameon Pierce. Even Jonathan Taylor. I mean, then like you could do almost anything, in these receivers because it's not like, there's no Justin Jefferson. You don't have to play Tyreek Hill. Play these Denvers, these KCs, the San Franciscos, even. I think it's probably, and what that means then is that if these guys are going to end up pretty chalky, maybe we're morons and we should be playing Christian McCaffrey at maybe 12% ownership. I don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So I think that's pretty much it for the week. We will, again, me and Rody will have another one. Sheets might do another one with the Citadel. Yeah, sure. And then we'll be live at Sunday at 11 Eastern. Good luck to everybody this week. And make sure to join the site now. Use the promo code BobbyFi NBA to get 25% off your first month. And come join the fun. Let's make some money.